My name is Rosemary Scarth Hill, and I'm visiting Seoul from the UK to remember my grandfather, James Scarth Gale, who was a contributor, also a recipient of Korean culture and the language, which was his passion in life. Well, although I never met him because he died when my mother was 18 years old, I feel that I know him through her stories that she told of her childhood living in Seoul, although he had previously lived in Wonsan in the north. And we grew up with stories about him, about how he loved to have every type of Korean come to his door. He loved talking with people who he didn't understand, and he wanted to understand them. And we had stories of all sorts of visitors, Buddhist monks and Christians and lepers and all sorts of people, including a pair of tigers came to his door. These were some of the stories, and we've grown to feel a great affection towards him, despite the fact we've never met him. We grew up in a very ordinary house, but it contained a very special item, which was an extremely large Korean chest, beautifully made. I don't know what the wood was, but it was banded in brass straps all over it with a wonderful Korean lock. As children, this was an adventure. We opened the Korean chest, and my mother would only have Korean items in the chest. So we dressed up, my sister and I dressed up in hanbok and went out into the road, and people would say, "Who are you?" We said, "When we grow up, we're going to be Korean." And all sorts of coins. We played with wonderful Korean coins with a hole in the middle, and all connected together with coloured ribbon. The coloured ribbon a little faded, but it was still beautiful colours. And Korean dolls of married couples, all beautifully dressed in their hanbok. These were all great treasures. As I say, we grew up with them and the stories around them. Fortunately, I have seen some of the photographs, and my sisters told me a little bit about it, and I hope it will be enjoyed by people looking at it who come to this museum. My understanding is that it's more about the personal life of my grandparents, and I think perhaps is typical of missionary life back from the 1880s, 1890s, right through until 1927, when I believe my grandparents retired from missionary work. So the album tells a personal story. The slides, my grandfather was passionate about photography, very early days, 1910, 1912. I think some of these slides provide a record of events, a royal funeral, stone memorials, many of which are in the north, places of interest, the Great Gate of Pyongyang, and all sorts of public events, court archers, I believe, and also the everyday life, the rug maker, fishing, dropping a fishing line down through the ice to get the fish, and all sorts of grinding corn or grinding rice with the stones. So the everyday life of people working and providing a living for themselves, which is also of great importance and significance. I felt my grandfather wanted to record the whole range of his experience in Korea and cultural life. I like to think that he believed that he made a contribution not only as a missionary and befriended many, many Koreans amongst his greatest friends, but his real passion, I think, was for the language, for the stories. He lived at a difficult time here with the annexation of the country by the Japanese. He was very fearful that the language could be eroded by enculturation from another country, another culture, and he sought to make it possible for the Korean language to continue to evolve, to be preserved in the ancient stories, and I feel that he would like to be remembered for his contribution to the Hangul language. And I just have to say that my grandmother, I have sort of two grandmothers, one passed away and he married again. His first wife was very skilled in Korean Hangul. She helped him with a lot of his translation work and the writing of his dictionaries. And my grandmother, his second wife, was fluent in Japanese and was able to make contributions to very difficult discussions by way of interpretation. Both those women supported him, and he always said, I could never have done what I did without Harriet and Ada, his first and second wife, and his 3 Korean scholars, and they made a wonderful team. Every item that we see in the museum, it's like an icon. It's 3-dimensional, it's tangible. It's like an icon because you see through it into a world that even if we remember it, we need to be reminded of it. And it gives this wonderful glimpse for all generations. I'm 75 and I still learn when I go to a museum. It's not just for school children, it's there for everybody. Donation, I think of a connection again between the giver, the gift, and the receiver, all one continuation.